Even though I've discussed the series to a nearly non-existent extent on this channel, Fate is an anime I really do enjoy, and out of all the Fate parts, Fate Zero is my favourite by far. And although there's many reasons for that, I cannot deny that a large part of it is my love for the character of Archer, the king of heroes from Mesopotamia, Gilgamesh. I mean, just look at my quarter scale Gilgamesh figure, or my work in progress Gilgamesh cosplay. So yeah, I like him a lot, and so the king is who we shall discuss today. So if you find yourself entertained at any point during the video, then consider liking, subscribing and ringing that bell, as I cannot explain to you how much just a small action can do for this channel, and if you want to go the extra mile to support this channel even further, then you can always check out my Patreon. Anyway, on with the video. Gilgamesh in Fate Zero is pride personified. He is someone who is the greatest, and he knows it. All others are below him and everything in the world is but one of his many possessions. He doesn't enter the Holy Grail War to win the Grail like the other servants and masters, as well the Grail is already one of his many treasures. In anime, no, in fiction as a whole, it's quite hard to find characters with more of an ego or more pride than Gilgamesh. However, his pride is not just for show, as he lives up to the expectations his bravado presents. He is a hero among heroes, with arguably the strongest noble phantasm in the series, the noble phantasm from which all others were based. In terms of pure strength, he is almighty, and beyond that he is also the king of kings. One of the best ways I've heard to describe Archer Gilgamesh is something said by Frankie in his video on the Banquet of Kings, that Gilgamesh is a king who rules selfishly for himself, in contrast to Saber Artoria, who rules selflessly for her people, and Rider Iskander, who rules selfishly for his people. And on this I very much agree. Gilgamesh was a tyrannical ruler in a lot of ways. He was cruel when he needed to be, and saw even his own subjects as mongrels to worship him. However, even if they were below him, he still saw their value, as Gilgamesh doesn't believe that everyone below him is insignificant. Sure, he is by far superior to everyone else, but that doesn't mean others below him cannot earn his respect. As the king of heroes, he respects heroes of great valour. That's why he showed Rider so much respect, as Rider was a mighty hero. Heck, it's very likely one of the main reasons Gilgamesh even answered the call of the Holy Grail War was in order to do battle with other great heroes, with people he respected, at least a smidge. Gilgamesh after all was disgusted by the modern age, for the simple reason that people had no purpose, that there were too many humans, that they were all lazy and worthless and as such didn't even deserve to live. Under his rule, all his subjects had a role. Even if it was small or insignificant, it was still a role. Everyone was vital to keeping his kingdom running, and for that reason he could respect every last one of his subjects, since they all played a part in Uruk, his city, persisting. Therefore, Gilgamesh isn't just some prideful king who sees all besides himself as mongrels. No, he is someone who, due to his own great worth, chooses to see the worth in others. For those who he respects then, this earns praise, and for those who don't, his wrath is incurred. It's a cruel and tyrannical way to see the world, but that's just the kind of king Gilgamesh is. He rules for himself as he is above others. He does so selfishly as his own needs come first, but even so he does not discredit those who allow him to shine. One of the main lessons taught through Fate Zero is that no matter what they are, all dreams will end when the dream awakes. And Gilgamesh is someone who understands this well. Which is why he doesn't dream, instead he does. He became the king not by dreaming of it, but by believing he was, and so becoming it. Something rather obviously shown by the outcome of the Fourth Holy Grail War. The one to win was the only one who didn't dream, the only participant who did not have a wish to be granted. It didn't matter then what happened, as even if Gilgamesh woke up, he was never dreaming to begin with. This is an idea that Gilgamesh knows well. He amuses himself by watching others try and fail to achieve their dreams, as he knows the nature of what dreams and wishes really are. That they are fleeting. Which is probably one of the reasons he respects Rider and Waver so much, as they are two people who understand this yet still dream. They are two people who will live every moment to the fullest in pursuit of their dreams because they know as soon as they wake, it will be over. But even with all that said, it doesn't really matter, as Gilgamesh is the king, and the king does not need to justify his morals or principles to anyone. As a king is just that, a king. Gilgamesh throughout Fate Zero may critique and comment on the beliefs and morals of other servants, but at no point does he feel the need to justify his own principles, and that in itself says more than any explanation could ever convey. Now, Archer Gilgamesh as presented in Fate Zero is already one of my all-time favourite antagonists in fiction. However, there is much more to his character beyond just that part. And so next I'd like to explore the change his character undergoes between Fate Zero and Fate Unlimited Blade Works, as it both reinforces the ideas already discussed and brings to light a new side of the king. Gilgamesh, in order to become a king, to become the king, had to believe in himself more than anyone ever should do. He had to come to place his decisions as the undisputable correct choice, to the point that no one would ever dispute them. This was the way he was able to become king, and the way he was able to maintain peace, by being the ultimate king who rules all. However, at the end of Fate Zero, after being bathed in the contents of the Grail, Gilgamesh changed as he came to see the true nature of the Grail, something made by human hands that grants power no matter how horrid the cost. Seeing this and coming to understand the true nature of humans as cruel and horrid creatures, as scum, is what changed Gilgamesh. He could no longer take pride in his garden as it was tainted by scum who had no purpose and who only desired power no matter the cost. He, the great king of heroes, was summoned by a human as nothing more than a sacrifice for a grail that selfishly grants power. Learning this truth is what showed Gilgamesh the truth, that humans are truly scum, not worthy of his respect and not worthy of survival. This is why his plan in Unlimited Blade Works is to use the Grail to destroy the world. He wants to show humans the truth of their desires, the ugly and horrible result of their filthy lust for power. He's trying to make the world a better place by destroying it, by removing the filth from it. I mean, the reason Gilgamesh never wears his Babylonian armour in Unlimited Blade Works is because he lost all respect for humanity. As said before, Gilgamesh took pride in fighting other heroic spirits. He didn't see them as equals, but he acknowledged them as heroes, and as such he fought them as a hero. He donned the armour of the King of Heroes in order to fight them. By wearing armour, he is showing them that he indeed wishes to do battle, that he respects them enough to allow them to fight him rather than just be massacred. It's genuinely one of the greatest shows of respect we see from him, but after seeing the truth of humanity, he no longer desires to show such respect. Even when facing heroic spirits like Saber or Berserker, he never dons his armour, as even heroes in his mind have now fallen down to the level of scum. His before-held belief that people had worth if they had a role was gone, and instead he now possessed nothing but disgust for the entire human race. He never even wears his casual Babylonian attire, as even that would be too much of a sign of respect. He wanted to destroy the world because he lost all respect for humanity, because he'd rather destroy his garden than have it be spoiled. He decides the fate of the world as he is the king, yet even if he saw the lust for power that humans possessed, the horrible nature that lurks in everyone's heart, he didn't care to look for the good that was in there too, of belief, friendship, conviction and perseverance. And because he didn't show these aspects the respect they deserved, he was defeated and the world was saved. Archer Gilgamesh, the Tyrant King, is in reality just one part of Gilgamesh, just one version of him from his long life. As shown in Grand Order, Gilgamesh in life changed a great deal. He started as a Tyrant King, the version of him that is summoned as Archer, but there is far more to his story than that. Gilgamesh, as seen in Fate Zero, was at first a tyrannical ruler. He was forced to rule and his word was the law. He saw all as below him, all except for one. Enkidu was Gilgamesh's first friend, a puppet sent by the gods, sure, but a friend nonetheless. It was thanks to Enkidu that Gilgamesh came to understand the merits of human nature, of friendship and connection, the very things that led to his downfall in Unlimited Blade Works. However, he also witnessed great tragedy with the death of his friend, something that broke Gilgamesh, as he for the first time came to understand death, something that led him to travel down to the underworld in search of the Herb of Immortality, a magical plant he does indeed obtain. However, as he bathed on his journey back to Uruk, a snake feeling peckish swiped the herb and ate it. The king's grand quest was ended by a simple snake. It was something so absurd that it made the king laugh. He laughed at the absurdity that all his efforts were for naught due to such a silly thing. Something that took him a lifetime to accomplish was gone in an instant. However, what Gilgamesh came to realise was that the sun was still shining and that the day would continue. He finally understood what it meant to be human. It may have taken the friendship of Enkidu, the death of a friend, and the feeling of losing everything, but the demigod finally understood his human half. And this is what makes Gilgamesh post his quest for immortality so much different to the Archer Gilgamesh we're so used to. Because one only sees the negative aspects of humanity and is disgusted by them, while the other came to understand his own human half. A human's worth, their life, only ends once they die, so they must live on and fight on till the moment they croak, which in a way is not dissimilar to Archer Gilgamesh's views on dreams. With this new understanding, Gilgamesh went on to rule Uruk as the ultimate king and ultimate hero, one who saw worth in his people and trusted in them to serve him. He still believed he was above others, of course, but the way he saw himself was a little different. It was now his duty as the one above all to rule over others and lead them to prosperity, as that's what a king should do. And I think the greatest moment in this arc of his is when he acknowledges Fujimaru and tells him he was the man they needed. He not only showed respect for a human, but even admitted that that human was, at least in this instance, more important than him. He relied on someone else, and by doing so, finally embraced the human feelings he, in the past, had so harshly mocked. However, this backstory of Gilgamesh's isn't something we learn till the final episode of Babylonia, and honestly, I think that is a stroke of storytelling genius. When we first hear about Gilgamesh from Merlin, he sounds like the same tyrant king we're used to from Zero and Unlimited Blade Works. But then when we meet him, that's not the case. He for sure is still the prideful Gil we all know and love, but he's different, he's humbled. Throughout Babylonia, we can piece together the puzzle of what happened to change Gilgamesh, but only at the end do we get the full picture. It's a classic example of show don't tell, and in my opinion is the perfect way to present a Gilgamesh who is familiar, but at the same time so different to the one we knew. The final words we hear from Gilgamesh in Fate Grand Order, at least to me, sum up his entire character almost perfectly, as he says, as well, the true nature of humanity was so evil it made Gilgamesh want to destroy the world, but at the same time is the thing that saved him. Love and evil are two sides of the same coin, called humanity, something that the demigod who looked down on humans had to come to understand in order to become the king he was destined to be. Overall then, Gilgamesh is a character who explores the idea of what it means to be the king, of the truth of human nature, both the good and the bad, and the fundamental fact that life ends when it ends, that you shouldn't just dream but should do. Live your dreams out before you wake and become what you desire to be. Gilgamesh is the king, and that's all that really needs to be said. Which kind of makes this whole video pointless. As well, there's no need to explain why Gilgamesh acts the way he does, and does the things he does, as he is simply the king. Comment of the week comes from Dominic Wab, and I hope you really enjoy the other videos on this channel. If you are interested in my literary endeavours, then why not check out my books Gang Fluid Justice and People of Fate Volume 1, available at Amazon.com. And if you want to go the extra mile in supporting this channel, then consider pledging to my Patreon, where for as little as £2.75 a month, you can get your name at the end of the video, like Hikari Desu, 7SO, Smokey McBobby, Rinjack9696, and Dewey. So with all that said and done, I've been Seth the Sin, the Deadly Sin of Geek, and I'm signing out. Stay safe, everyone.